Welcome to Hope and Change.
This event is brought to you by Indivisible Rocks Resistance, honoring the Colorado way of life, freedom, accountability, democracy, equality, and environmental responsibility.
Hello, Resistance. This is Blue Leader Actual, coming to you from Rebel Base Roxborough. All wings report in. We have intercepted a transmission carried by 2 droids that contains a plan to restore democracy. Let's watch and listen in.
Everyone, and welcome to Hope and Change. I'm Sandy.
And I'm Jan.
Jan, you're staying in. Why are you wearing a mask?
I got a message that my computer might have a virus, so I'm just protecting myself.
Oh, Jan, I don't think that's how it works.
I can't get a virus from my computer?
No, your computer's your friend right now. It contains the plans to save democracy.
Oh, wow. There's a plan to save democracy? Let's get started on that right now.
Let's do. So we're trying to be a little lighthearted here, but actually it's hard for us to joke and carry on with the recent events in this country. We're trying to smile, as we know all of you are as well, but we're appalled, we're horrified, infuriated. Our hearts are bursting with sorrow, frustration, and pain. We felt the best thing we could do was to keep on working to create hope and change. Keep working to get good candidates elected, including well-qualified candidates of color. Keep working to replace the racist and violent people in office right here in our county and in our government at every level, with people who will serve all of us, people who look like all of us, people who will serve and defend those who have been persecuted, subjugated, dominated, and discriminated against for so long.
So while there are some attempts at humor during the evening, we hope you'll join us in creating hope and change, and that all we have planned will lift up your hearts a little. We want you to know that we are standing in solidarity with all our fellow Americans against injustice, racism, hatred, brutality, and inhumanity.
Now, back to that plan to save democracy. Let's start getting that working, to get some folks in office who will help us create a just and true equality-based democracy where there are really equal rights for all.
Yes, let's get started. You know something? Something this big and important just can't be done alone.
No, we can't do it alone. But fortunately, there are lots of folks watching and listening in. I'm pretty sure they are all here to help. We want to make sure they know how the plan works. So we are going to be creating hope and change. Let's look how we're going to do it.
Right. Hey, everyone. It looks like one of the best ways all of you can help is to have a smartphone ready. We'll show you how to point your camera at the screen to make a donation or volunteer.
That's right. We'll demonstrate in a minute. But even if you don't have a smartphone or you just don't want to use it now, you can also grab a pen and a pad of paper and keep them handy to jot down some website addresses as we display them. And if the slides go by too fast and you don't get your camera pointed in time to get that website address jotted down or a picture of it, just know that at the end of this event, we'll show you all the links and all the web URL addresses, and we'll leave them up on the screen long enough for you to get what you need to donate or volunteer.
First and most importantly, we all need to do whatever we can to make sure everyone gets fed. There's no hope and change when you're hungry all the time.
That's why we're supporting Food Bank of the Rockies in this fundraiser too, and why we've made it easy to give to them during this event. An additional donation will be made to the Food Bank of the Rockies by the Event Steering Committee for every one of you who is attending today, and for those who make a donation to the Food Bank of the Rockies through our own Hope and Change Food Bank donation page before, during, and after the event.
It looks like there are a lot of folks lining up to talk to our guests, the people who can lead us who need our support, with both funds and person power.
You bet. And that's also why we're here. All of you watching, we're excited to give our leaders and our candidates this opportunity to talk directly to you so you can see what fine leaders they are and will be. And we hope all of you will help us get them some funds and volunteer power so they can win in November. That's our hope and the path to change.
Yes. And you know, with the coronavirus putting folks at risk, these candidates can't go door to door to canvass. They can't hold in-person town halls and community meetings. So more than ever before, they need donations and volunteers in order to win in November.
This is surely one of the most challenging elections ever. These wonderful candidates need to be able to get in front of people, to speak to them and listen to them and tell them their plans to make things better. But because of the coronavirus, it's not safe for folks to gather. So we have to help them reach people. And that takes volunteers. And it also takes funds to get their message out there. And that's why Indivisible Rocks Resistance has created challenge matches.
Exactly. Our group has pledged nearly $6,000 to fund challenge matches with different amounts for each of our local Democratic Party candidates. In addition to one we just mentioned for the food bank. When you folks give a donation to a candidate's campaign, we'll match the total donations for them up to a set amount. And right now, I have some numbers. Do you think it's time to give some of those numbers, Sandy?
I see they're still growing, but if you want to, how about what have we got for the food bank?
Well, for the food bank right now, we have $875.
Wow, that's awesome.
Correction? Oh, 900. I'm sorry, we just got...
We've been asking our donors to help us out, and they're just coming forth all the time.
It's true.
So when you make a donation, we'll match it up to the amount we have pledged. And that way, the impact of your contribution will double. And speaking of challenges, like challenge matches, we want to tell you straight up that this is a challenge. We're all just volunteers here. And although we've always been aces at fundraising, this technology is new to us, and it may even bite us.
But if it does, we'll try to stay flexible, and we hope you'll hang in there with us.
Well, I'm not as flexible as I used to be, but I can still do a mean sunrise salutation.
No, not yoga flexible.
Oh.
I meant we'll just move on if we have a glitch of some kind and do the best we can.
Oh, gotcha. Yes, we plan to have a good time, and we know you will too. So now we've given you the basics, and we also want you to know that we have a lot of fun packed into Hope and Change. We have live music, videos, cameo appearances, an auction for a handful of unique items, and a lot of exciting special guests. But first, let us show you the Easy to Give plan so you can help create hope and change.
Hi, everyone. This is Dana Torpy-Newman, the chair of the Douglas County Democratic Party, and welcome to Hope and Change. We are making it easy to give during this fundraiser by using QR codes and your smartphones. You can see here that every candidate has a QR code next to their photo. We're going to have a separate slide for each candidate as soon as they finish with their presentation. Your job is to point the camera on your smartphone at the slide, and it will take you right to that candidate's campaign website so you can quickly and easily donate to their campaign. Even if you don't have any money to give right now, you can sign up to volunteer and help elect these wonderful candidates. It's crucial to have both the funds and the person power to make these campaigns successful in November. So have your smartphones ready and enjoy Hope and Change.
Good afternoon. Thank you for attending the Hope and Change event today. My name is Ron, and I'm a member of the Planning Committee. Today we're partnering with the Food Bank of the Rockies to raise funds for people throughout the state of Colorado that will help provide food for their families in this time of great need. And I want to tell you about the Food Bank of the Rockies. The Food Bank of the Rockies is a central distribution program providing food and essentials to more than 600 hunger relief programs throughout Colorado and Wyoming. The service area spans over 146,000 square miles. These hunger relief programs range from small faith-based food pantries to large charities that serve hundreds of clients each day. Nearly 50% of the food distributed goes to children. And 14% of all people receiving food are older adults age 60 and over. Because of COVID-19, the food bank is currently not able to accept food donations. That is why this fundraiser and others like it are so important. I sincerely hope that during or after this event, you will consider making a donation to the food bank and to those affected by these extraordinary times. Thank you. We appreciate your generosity.
Everyone. This is Deb from Indivisible Rocks Resistance. Here is an easy-to-give slide so you can help support Food Bank of the Rockies. Just point the camera on your smartphone at this screen, and your phone will take you to their donation website where you can chip in a few bucks. If you can't contribute funds right now, you can sign up to volunteer. It takes all of us to create hope and change.
So we've talked to you about the Easy to Give plan, and we've told you about the challenge matches.
And now, before we introduce our first special guest, we want to tell you about our auction.
It's a small but special auction. There are only a handful of items, but they are very unique offerings.
And when you bid and win an item, we never touch the money. It all goes to benefit the candidate it is designated for. So everyone wins. You get your auction item, and when you're notified that you won, you pay the bid amount directly to the candidate's donation page.
Here's a way you can bid and win.
Hi everyone, this is John with the Indivisible Rocks Resistance. This slide makes it super easy to bid on auction items today, and here's how it works. If you point your smartphone camera at this crazy QR code, your phone magically finds the auction website. Then you quickly register and place your bid. After that, you'll get updates by text as new bids arrive. So good luck and thanks for bidding.
It's time for our first special guest, Congressman Jason Crow. There's a big fan of his who wanted to introduce him. We told her Jason Crow doesn't need any introduction around here. Nevertheless, she persisted.
Can I just say on Jason Crow, he sat, I have the front row seat, in the Senate. Jason Crow sat right in front of me during the impeachment hearings. You all done good. And he did a great job. He represented well, and he was there to fight the right fight. I was really knocked out by him. Good for him.
Ladies and gentlemen, our own Congressman Jason Crow.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you to Indivisible Rocks Resistance, Sandy and Jan for doing a wonderful job moderating. What an incredible event you have here. And I love that video by Senator Warren. Elizabeth is a tremendous person. She's right. We sat next to each other for close to a month during the impeachment trial, just a few feet from one another, and would often look at each other in disbelief as the president's lawyers presented what they called their case during impeachment, often exasperated. So we had that we had that experience together, which forever has bonded us. But I appreciate everyone joining here today. Listen, I don't have to tell this crowd and this group of people what's at stake here. You all know that this is the election of our lifetimes. You know, much like in 2018, when we had to flip the House, when we had to retake so many districts across the country to put some kind of check in place in the House and in Congress on this rogue runaway administration and a Senate that has proven its unwillingness to serve as a separate and co-equal branch. So this next election is the huge election of our lifetime. We have to maintain control of the House. We have to retake the Senate, and that includes the Senate race here in Colorado, and we need to deliver Joe Biden the White House to help retake our country. But really what this event is primarily focused on is those races up and down the ballot, because what we've seen over the last 3.5 years is that we have to make sure that we have people that share our values, that share our morals, that are dedicated to principles of democracy, accountability, fairness, equity, up and down the ballot. And during this coronavirus pandemic, it's been more obvious than ever how important it is to have firm local leadership, city councils, county commissioners, mayors, state legislators who are willing to fight for the health and well-being of the people in our community, who are driven by science, who are driven by data, who are driven by a desire to deliver good government to the people of Colorado and to our community. And that's what the candidates who you are supporting here, who we're all supporting in Douglas County and throughout the South Metro region, that's what these candidates are about. These are young men and women. These are folks who have taken time, set aside their personal lives, set aside their personal careers to step up when our country is in need. Our country needs them now to step up and to run for office. Because running for office is not an easy thing, as those elected officials who are on here with me know. You are subjected to criticism. People lie about you. They say crazy things about you. But you have to stay focused and stay disciplined. And that's what these candidates have done for so long. They have run incredible campaigns. And we have to make sure that they have the resources, that they have the volunteers, and they have the support needed to get over the finish line. And if we all come together, we can make sure and we can deliver for them. Now, I just do want to say one comment about the events of the last week. You know, we are seeing the culmination of the legacy of institutionalized racism in our country. You know, our original sin, and we've never fully dealt with this. In the anger and the justified anxiety and the energy that we're seeing on the streets, now is the time for change, right? Wednesday night, I had the honor to march with faith leaders, people in the Black Lives Matter movement, elected officials, and others at a protest march in downtown Denver on Wednesday night. And I looked out over that crowd of probably 5,000-6,000 people. And overwhelmingly, what I saw was young folks, people 16, 17, 19, 20 years old, standing up to retake their country, to fight for democracy, to fight for equality, to fight for equity, to fight to make sure that Black Lives Matter. And that is incredibly inspiring to me, because whether it's gun violence, it's climate change, it's the fight for equality and equity in our country and to end racism, so much of this is being driven by the young folks. And these folks are so inspiring to me. So let's make sure when they stand up that we stand shoulder to shoulder with them and never back down from supporting them. And this president has proven time and time again, once again, in the last week, that when the rubber meets the road, he will always focus on his personal self-interest above the interests of the country, right? I sat up in the well of the Senate in January during the impeachment trial. And I said, you know, it's Ukraine this time, but it's going to be something else. It's going to be something else. And after that, it's going to be something else, because policy after policy after policy, action after action of after action of this president, it always comes down to one thing. President Trump cares only about President Trump. He can be counted on that. He has no fidelity to his oath. He has no fidelity to this country or to any of us, and he will always look out for his best interests. This is a dangerous time, and we have to make sure that we're coming together, we're supporting all the candidates, and we are leaving it all on the field in the next 5 months. So I know you can do that. Best of luck to all the candidates here. Thank you again to Indivisible Rocks Resistance and to Sandy and Jan and all the people that worked so hard to put this together. We're gonna make sure we're standing side by side, all these candidates. We're gonna get across the finish line, folks. So let's do it.
Thank you, Jason. You know, we worked hard to elect you in 2018, and we're going to send you back. Everybody, let's make sure that Jason gets back to Congress.
There's a cool slide that makes it easy to give so that you can help ensure that Jason Crow continues to represent Colorado in the U.S. Congress. Just point the camera on your smartphone to this screen, and it will take you to his campaign website where you can make a contribution. If you can't contribute funds right now, you can sign up to volunteer. It takes all of us to create hope and change.
And now, this. Nearly 40 million out of work. Colorado plant employees sick and dying. Thousands of Colorado businesses are struggling. As America battles an invisible killer, Congressman Ken Buck again votes no on aid to help families survive and finds time in his other job to direct volunteers to falsify election results. We need someone who will fight for us. Ike McCorkle will bring service with integrity to Colorado's 4th District.
Indivisible Rocks Resistance is excited to have the veterans together on the program tonight. First, Congressman Crow, and now we have 2 more for you. We're also excited to announce a challenge match for Ike McCorkle's campaign. Ike is running to represent Colorado's CD4 in the U.S. House of Representatives. Our group has pooled our funds, and we will match up to $710 in total donations made to Ike's campaign before the end of this event. Watch for the easy to give slide after this segment and chip in a few bucks to give Ken Buck the boot and get some service with integrity up in the U.S. House. Ike McCorkle has invited a fellow combat wounded veteran who is also running for office to join him today in discussing their shared values. David Ortiz is running for the Colorado House representing District 38, Littleton and West Centennial. Invisible Rocks Resistance has also created a challenge match for David's campaign, and we will match up to $400 in donations to his campaign made before the end of this event. We know how important it is to have trained leaders serving us in office at both the federal and state level. So again, watch for his easy to give slide so you can double your donations and volunteer to help David win. And now, we are proud to present these 2 veterans and candidates, Ike McCorkle and David Ortiz.
Hi, I'm Ike, and I wanted to first just say thank you so much to Sandy and everyone else in the Rocks Resistance group that put this amazing event together that's going to help us all restore integrity in our democracy. Like I said, I'm Ike McCorkle. I'm sorry about my voice. I have a combat injury to paralyzed vocal cord, but I'm the nominated Democrat running against Ken Buck in CD4. I'm a combat wounded retired Marine Corps officer. special operator, and proud father of 3 amazing kids right here in Douglas County. I'm also an FDR Democrat, just like my granddad, a West Point officer and World War II veteran. I want our country to uphold its end of the bargain, to start providing Americans with the services and the protections that they need. We want to work with you. We want to stand by all of your sides in this monumental struggle to save our planet and to save the integrity of our democracy. Today, this administration is engaged in a great othering of America, scapegoating, and defining who is worthy and who is not, based on the color of their skin, their sex, orientation, origin, nationality, or beliefs. We must address the root causes of racism, bigotry, police brutality, the pandemic crisis, climate crisis, and vast socioeconomic inequalities in this nation. We need a historic investment in America and in the social safety nets that once made us the envy of the world. When I was 2, my mom was 27, and she was left with 3 kids in a bankrupt convenience store in Everett, Washington. And it was because of welfare, food stamps, and free meals at school that I stayed fed. And it was because of those programs that my mom finished her college degree and gained her commission in the United States Air Force and then the Army. We need to restore and establish robust protections for all of our citizens in times of hardship and health alike. We must set the conditions to provide future generations with a sustainable planet and a government that serves them. In the richest nation on earth, every child deserves an education, health care, a meal in their bellies, a roof over their head, and a guarantee of equal protections under the law. I could have easily talked to you this entire segment, but I think we need more progressive veterans in office. So I invited, and it is my pleasure and honor to introduce my good friend and fellow combat vet, David Ortiz.
Ike, thank you so much for that introduction. I got to thank Indivisible Rocks Resistance, all the electeds and candidates, and all of you for joining us today. My name is David Ortiz, and I'm running for the Colorado State House in House District 38, which is Littleton and the western parts of Centennial. I'm going to make this quick. We all have mottos that motivate us, right? One that's motivated my lifetime of public service is I am, we are. And the reason why I love it so much is because it recognizes how the individual can empower the community, but also recognizes how the community can empower the individual. The short answer to why I'm running for office is to empower others the way others have empowered me, whether it's through the example of their life, like my grandfather who was infantry in World War II, my dad who was Air Force Academy grad of '79, and my mom who migrated from Mexico when she was only 15 years old. I am a combat veteran, I was a combat aviator, and that's a clear example of men and women from all walks of life, all political stripes, all religions, coming together to put their differences aside, to put the men and women on the ground first, to put the mission first. In my own service, I survived a catastrophic crash when I was deployed to Afghanistan, which left me paralyzed from the waist down. But if it wasn't for the team pulling together, the medevac pilots, the medics, the surgeons, and the army of physical therapists and occupational therapists, I would not have been able to regain my independence. Not only that, I would not have been able to continue serving this community in the nonprofit work I do, and as an advocate and lobbyist for veterans at the state capitol, and now working hard to make sure we flip this seat in HD 38 and get the representation we deserve. You see, that's what I Am, We Are is about. And all of you here right now, from Congressman Crow to you, Ike, to everybody else that's joining us today, are an example of that. So I want to thank you for this time, and I want to kick it back over to you. Let's talk a little bit about leadership with integrity, and let's talk about some of the issues that matter in your district.
Yeah, you know, leadership is so important, and integrity is so integral to being an honest representative for the people. And Ken Buck personifies, you know, the opposite of integrity. He's invested in the same industries that fund his campaigns. He's 73% funded by PACs. And our campaign is not taking a dime from corporate PACs, from oil and gas, from big pharma. Ken Buck is beholden to multinational corporations and the individuals that pay for his campaigns and that line his pockets. So I know you as a former combat vet can empathize with how important integrity is in being able to trust those who are governing. And another issue that is really prominent right now is the issue of gun safety. And so I'd love to get your thoughts on gun safety and how we can make our streets and schools, safer and better for our children.
Right, and that's an issue that is uniquely impactful here in this district. We have Arapahoe High shooting that happened in 13. Columbine High is right next door, as well as STEM school shooting that happened in the south. My campaign manager was there in 13 at Arapahoe High. My lead intern had his sister that was at STEM, and one of my interns too was there at STEM. So it's an issue that uniquely speaks to this district. Full disclosure, I am a responsible gun owner. And I know we take our oath to the Constitution seriously, but also what it talks about in the Constitution is the general welfare and to secure the blessings of liberty. And our kids deserve to go to school in an environment where they have the blessings of liberty to be safe at school. And our veterans and other adults in our community have the right to have easier access to mental health care than they do a weapon to end it all. It's not about taking away anyone's rights. It's about promoting responsible gun ownership and saving lives in our community. So thank you for talking to me about that.
Exactly. And, just like you said, responsible gun ownership means that safe storage shouldn't just be the recommendation of the manufacturer. It should be the law. And the reason is 78% of school shootings happen because kids have access to firearms and ammunition. And every day in the United States, children are killed in their homes because they have access to firearms and ammunition. We need a Safe Storage Act, and I'll tell you why. Last year, I was in Denver campaigning for Candy C. DeBaca in Denver District 9 when the STEM Highlands Ranch shooting happened. And my son was in class. And for 2 hours, I didn't know if my son had lost his life. Kendrick did lose his life, and it's tragic. And the only reason he lost his life is because kids had access to firearms and ammunition. We need a National Safe Storage Act to protect our kids in our public spaces, concert halls, and movie theaters. And speaking of protecting our kids and our population and people, another thing that we need to address is the climate crisis. And I know you as an educated veteran understand that issue. What are your thoughts on how we address the climate crisis, David?
Well, first and foremost, let's talk about the fact that our Department of Defense makes plans for the impact of climate change. Our Navy admirals are planning on rising sea levels, and people on the ground are planning for climate change. It's not up for debate, it's a thing. If our national security is being based on it, we know that we have to combat climate change. And we do that by making sure we protect the pristine waters here in the state of Colorado. We do have a section of the Platte that runs through my district. So we need to make sure that we're keeping that water and conserving that water for ranchers that live in your district. We all need to be working together on this issue, that's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Climate is so key to Congressional District 4, made up of farmers and ranchers that need access to water. And with a growing Front Range population, we're facing a water shortage. And we need to start providing our municipalities with produced water so that they use less of the natural watershed. We need to heavily subsidize a Green New Deal. And the key is protecting workers' pay and employment. If we can protect workers' pay and employment while we rapidly transition the industry and expand energy infrastructure, employment across the board, workers need peace of mind. They need to know that they're going to be able to put meals on their family's table. And we need to save Weld County from a dying industry. As oil and gas tanks, the answer to the climate crisis, addressing the climate crisis, and the answer to protecting workers' rights are one and the same. We need to heavily subsidize the Green New Deal and pass a federal mandate that all new investments and installations be made in the renewable sector, just like Spain.
Hey, Eck, we brought up some good issues. Last thing I want to talk about before we close out here is healthcare. Having survived a helicopter crash, which left me paralyzed from the waist down, if I didn't have access to quality and affordable healthcare to include mental health care, I would not have regained my independence, like I said. Imagine what this state and what this country would look like if healthcare was a right, if we worked together at all levels of government to make healthcare quality and affordable to make sure all of our citizens have access to it. So I'm looking forward to working with you for sure. I know your seat is flippable. I know if all of us work together that we'll be able to flip that seat and get Congressman Crow the support he needs. I know if we flip this seat here in HD 38, that we'll be able to back you up on the state level to make sure we're combating climate change, passing gun safety legislation, and doing all the rest of the stuff that we've talked about here. So I'm gonna let you close this out. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak with you today.
Oh man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your service and your integrity. And I'll just close by saying integrity in government is the foundation of our government, because if you don't have a government that's telling you the truth, you can't rely or depend on that government to adequately or competently serve the needs of our citizens. We can see that with 110,000 Americans dead from COVID-19 because of governmental incompetence. We need a national single-payer Medicare for all healthcare system that can cohesively respond to pandemics. Thank you to the Rocks Resistance. Thank you to Jason Crow and all the other amazing candidates out here. And thank you for your time and your dedication to our republic. We can't do it without you.
That's right.
Hi everyone, this is Steve from Indivisible Rocks Resistance. This easy to give slide can be used to help send Ike McCorkle to the U.S. House representing CD4. Point your smartphone camera at this screen and go to Ike's campaign, where we hope you will be able to chip in a few bucks. Even if you can't contribute funds right now, please sign up to volunteer so we can have service with integrity. Remember, it takes all of us to create hope and change.
So one of the guiding principles or mottos that has always guided my service is, I am because we are because I am. And why I love that so much is because it recognizes the impact that the individual has in shaping and informing the community, but also the impact that the community has in shaping and forming the individual. When you support me, you support a movement, you support empowering the community and bringing creative solutions to the state capitol. Not only that, but you're creating equality of opportunity for all Coloradans. That's been foundational in my life, and I want to make sure that everybody in HD 38 and across the state has the same opportunities that I've had. Growing up, we were always taught the importance of service, and not just service to the country, but service to the community, service to your family. And it was something that just never went away. So I wanted to serve my country in a more intense way and decided to fly helicopters to the Army. Going through flight school and the challenge of the training, getting to serve with the amazing men and women that I got to serve with, and to serve a mission that was bigger than myself was what made it so fulfilling and so amazing. I loved every aspect of it until the day of the crash. And that's when my life changed. That's when I knew that the reality that I had lived in was forever gone and that things were going to change. So Craig Hospital in Colorado really truly gave me my life back, which was the first indication of this is, this is where I want to settle, this is the community that I want to live in. And I didn't stop, I didn't skip a beat. After being medically retired here in Colorado, I became a lobbyist and an advocate for veterans at the state capitol. Got some great legislation done, very proud of that. My name is David Ortiz, and I'm running for the Colorado State House in House District 38.
This is Ken from Indivisible Rocks Resistance. David Ortiz is running to represent District 38 in the Colorado House. This easy-to-give slide will help support his campaign to represent Coloradans in the state legislature. Just point the camera on your smartphone at this screen, and that will take you to his campaign website where you can chip in a few bucks. If you can't contribute funds right now, you can sign up to volunteer. It takes all of us to create hope and change.
Okay, everyone, it's about time to get some music up in this house. I want to introduce you to our special musical guests. This is Kerry and Paul of Kerry, Pastine, and the Crime Scene. Hi, guys.
Hey, everybody. Hi.
Look at you. You're looking good. It's good to see you guys. Hey, I want to tell everyone a little bit about you. So, Kerry, you're a Colorado native. Your mom and dad were Colorado natives, and your dad was a musician here, right?
He was a musician. He was born in 1913 in Denver. And so, of course, he's passed now. But yeah, he was a musician down in Five Points, big band musician. And my mom and my dad raised us here in Denver. And we just lost my mom recently at 91, but yeah, we're Colorado born and bred.
And I have to mention, because he always plays such distinctive guitars, that Paul is aficionado of great instruments. Tell us what you like and what you're playing today, Paul.
This is a Dean Palomino. It's definitely become the favorite over the last, 15 years. So it's usually the mainstay. And then there's, you can see him on the walls. There's always backups.
So you guys are looking smoking hot. You're with us and we're in black for Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely.
We're in solidarity, guys.
Absolutely.
So enough talk. Let's have some music. How about some Testifier?
Yes, let's do it. Just say yes, just say no. Either way, you gotta let it go. You gotta testify, you gotta take it higher. Give way to my persuasion, open my cage. Fight for revolution, free me from my rage. Heart held to the flame, moving to the beat. Baby, stick your claim in me, I wanna feel your feet. Oh, raise me from the dead, no need to explain. Living out your truth or death, come on, feel the pain. You gotta testify, yeah. You gotta take me higher. I wanna testify, yeah. Fire up your desire. Oh, prove it to me, darling. Manifest your faith. Nothing left to die for. Time to elevate. Pump your life into me. Baby, cool my head. Check my feet around the clock. Then take me back to bed. Oh, this is where we sacrifice all pain and suffering. Claim this life there and I got time to take the leap into the fire. You gotta take it higher. I wanna testify, fire up your desire. All right, everybody. This is where we're gonna break it down. We're gonna preach it. And we're gonna let go of some things that are no longer serving us. Are you ready, babe? I'm ready. You gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. Baby, let it go. You gotta let it go. Baby, let it go. Free yourself and elevate your soul into the fire of your desire. You gotta take me higher. I wanna testify, fire of your desire. You gotta testify, you gotta take me higher. I wanna testify, fire of your desire. You gotta testify, you gotta take me higher. You gotta testify, you gotta take me higher. You gotta testify. You gotta get an amen on that one. Oh man, you guys totally rock. Wasn't that spectacular? We'll have more of this great music coming up, including the whole band. But before we introduce our next special guest, I just want to remind everyone about our auction items. In case you didn't register to bid before, here's a slide with the QR code and the website address. So you can use the camera on your phone to get there, or just jot it down. But remember to register and bid now, because the auction is over when this event ends. I also want to remind you about our challenge matches for both Ike McCorkle's and David Ortiz's campaign. So hurry up and make a donation while you can double your impact. Remember, we need good government up and down the ticket if we're going to create hope and change. So we are especially honored to welcome our next special guest. He is the U.S. Representative for Colorado's 2nd Congressional District, formerly a regent of the University of Colorado, and the first African-American member of Congress in Colorado's history. He serves as a member of the House Judiciary Committee, the House Natural Resources Committee, and the House Select Committee on the Climate Crisis.
Indivisible Rocks Resistance is committed to keeping Joe Neguse in Congress. To that end, we have created a challenge match, and we'll match donations to his campaign made during this event up to $550. So you can double your impact by giving to his campaign during Hope and Change. Let's watch this very short film introducing Congressman Joe Neguse.
Representative Joe Neguse is the first African-American and second youngest person elected to Congress from Colorado, and he is already gaining prominence.
I made a solemn promise back then to fight each and every day for the people of Colorado, to push for progress, to make people's lives better, and to always put our values over petty politics. Fighting for common sense gun violence prevention, protecting our public lands, taking on the existential threat of climate change, and fighting to defend our republic and the rule of law. Through it all, through all of the cynicism and division and divisiveness, we've stuck with hope. Because while fear is contagious, so is hope. And notwithstanding all the terrible things that have happened in the last year under this administration, the truth is, hope is as contagious as it has ever been. And we know our best days are still ahead. So join us as we work together for the communities that we love, as we choose progress over gridlock, unity over division, and hope over fear, because we're just getting started.
Ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Joe Neguse.
I'm sorry for the technical difficulties there. Good afternoon. It's great to see you all. Thanks so much for that wonderful and very kind introduction. It's great to be able to join you all today. Of course, as was mentioned, I have the distinct honor of representing Colorado's 2nd Congressional District, which is a bit a ways from Douglas County, but the one part of my bio that I thought I would highlight for you all today is that I actually was raised in Douglas County. I grew up in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, went to Thunder Ridge High School, Bear Canyon Elementary School, Ranch View Middle School. My parents still live in Highlands Ranch. And my sister and her husband live in Highlands Ranch as well, where they're raising my 2 nieces. So I want to say, first and foremost, thank you to all of you out in Douglas County for all the hard work that you all are engaged in as you work to turn Douglas County blue. And I have no doubt that with incredible candidates up and down the ballot, many of whom you've heard from, folks like David Ortiz, who just is so incredible in his service to our country and the way in which he has continued to serve our state and will for years to come. I have no doubt that at the end of the day, Douglas County is going to be a shining part of this blue wave that is to hit in November of this year. Of course, I first want to say I hope you all are doing well and staying safe and staying healthy as we confront the COVID-19 pandemic and as our country deals with a number of different crises. Of course, we all continue to mourn the loss of Mr. Floyd in Minnesota, and as our country, begins to hopefully take systemic reforms and actions at the federal and local level to address inequities and ensure that that promise of justice and equality for all in America is one that we honor for each and every American. I also just want to say thank you to the wonderful Douglas County candidates who are running up and down the ballot. You have such incredible, talented people. Lisa Neal-Graves, the opportunity to elect the first Black woman, not just to the Douglas County Commission, but to any county commission in the state of Colorado. And Douglas County is poised to do that in just a few short months. And of course, electing Darien, who you all know well from her many years of activism through Mom's Demand, pushing for sensible gun violence prevention, her years as an entrepreneur in the Douglas County community. You have such talented people, again, running up and down the ballot that I just have no doubt that we're going to be successful this November. And of course, as so many other candidates have articulated, the stakes could simply not be higher. Right now, in my view, I think our ability not just to obtain affordable health care for every American, to ensure that we have clean air and clean water, to make sure that our public lands, which we treasure, are ultimately treasured for future generations, but ultimately our ability to continue as a republic, our ability to make sure that the American dream is as accessible to every single American as it has ever been. All of that is contingent on this year's election. And that includes, of course, our down ballot races that I mentioned. So I'm grateful for all that you've done and all that I know you will continue to do over the coming weeks and months as we turn out the vote. And I promise to be right there with you, of course, here in the 2nd District in Larimer County and Boulder County and our Central Mountains, but also down there in Douglas County as well, in Parker, Castle Rock, Highlands Ranch, and every city in between. So thank you all so much. Please stay safe, please stay healthy, and most important, please stay hopeful.
Hey everyone, this is Vicki from Roxborough Indivisible. Here's an easy to give slide you can use to help ensure that Neguse continues to represent Colorado in the U.S. Congress. Just point the camera on your smartphone at this screen and it will take you to the campaign website. When you're there, you can chip in a few bucks, or if you can't contribute right now, just sign up to volunteer. Remember, it takes all of us to create hope and change.
Hey, Neguse making Douglas County proud right there. This year, the Douglas County Board of Commissioners has 2 of its 3 seats open, and we have 2 fine candidates running for those seats. So we have the opportunity to vote for both of these exceptional candidates and have a county commission we can count on. Do you know what the Douglas County Board of Commissioners does? Well, here's a film that will tell you.
Hi everyone, this is Naomi DeMarco from Indivisible Rocks Resistance. Here's an easy to give slide so you can support Lisa Neal-Graves' campaign to serve on the Douglas County Commission. Just point your smartphone camera at this screen and your phone will magically take you to her campaign website, where we hope you'll chip in a few bucks. Even if you can't contribute funds right now, please sign up to volunteer. It takes all of us to create hope and change.
So now you've seen what the county commission should do. If we can elect both of these candidates I'm about to introduce to the 2 open seats, we will have a county commission you can count on. Indivisible Rocks Resistance has a challenge match for each of these 2 fine candidates. We have pledges to match the first $810 donated today for Lisa Neal-Graves and the first $625 for Darien Wilson between now and the end of the event. So not only do we get to double our good governance on the Douglas County Commission by electing both of them, but you get to double your impact by donating to both of them tonight and having your donations matched. And now, County Commissioner candidates Darien Wilson and Lisa Neal-Graves, and the chair of the Douglas County Democratic Party, Dana Torpey-Newman, who will interview them.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having all of us. I'm so excited for you to get to know my friends and candidates for County Commissioner Lisa and Darien. First, I just want to make sure that you all understand a few things about the Board of County Commissioners, or BOCC for easier reference, and so that we can save time by not saying that endlessly. The BOCC consists of 3 members. Each member represents a different part of the county. So currently, there are 2 seats up for grabs in November. Lisa is running for District 2, which includes Castle Rock, Castle Pines, some of Parker, and the other rural parts of the county. The current occupant of that seat is termed out, so the Republicans are having a nasty primary to have someone take Lisa on. Good luck to them. Darien is running for District 3, which represents Highlands Ranch. The person who is currently in that seat is running for re-election, and I cannot wait to get her out. You and I get to vote for both of them because each seat gets chosen by the entire county, and I cannot wait. I am so excited. When Lisa and Darien win their elections, we will have a majority of the seats on the BOCC. This would be an incredible victory for us and would finally allow our values to be represented in the county government, a first for us. What this means is that we must work equally hard for both of our candidates, because if only one of them wins, she will be outvoted constantly by the Republican majority, and no one wants that. Now that you know how all of this works and why these offices are crucial to our day-to-day life, let me help you to get to know our friends, the members of our community who are being entirely supported by people like you, Darien and Lisa. So tell me, oh, sorry, I could have given you a chance to say hello. Darien, what experiences and expertise will you bring to this role?
Oh, thank you, Dana, and thanks everyone for tuning in today. So the skills that I bring to the job have been honed in almost 20 years of small business ownership and entrepreneurship. I've also been a lifelong volunteer, and I'm a mother of 3. So in all 3 of those jobs, I've sharpened my negotiation skills. I've learned to bring diverse stakeholders to the table and find solutions that work for everyone. I've also sharpened my management and my ability to juggle multiple priorities. The whole time I've been a small business owner, I've also been a mom. So I'm a hardworking optimist. When something isn't working, I roll up my sleeves, rally my community, work collaboratively to find solutions, and get to work. Lisa?
Thanks so much, Darien and Dana. It's so awesome to be here, and thanks to the Rocks Resistance. This is awesome. Darien, I can't wait to take on the BOCC challenges with you. Our expertise is just so complementary. While you've managed small businesses for the past 20 years, I've managed large business units within Fortune 50 companies for over 25 years. As a technologist, a business executive, and a lawyer, I bring information technology, information security, large complex project management, program management, procurement, contract management expertise. Throughout my career, my experiences have centered on innovation and change management. I was even blessed to serve our state attorney general, Weiser, as his chief innovation officer, the first of its kind in the nation. I have also served 3 governors on boards and commissions that supported young people. However, more than any of the professional efforts, I'm a considerate person. I listen, I act with compassion, and I fight for what's right as well, Darien. I grew up in Colorado, so I understand the Colorado way. I work on behalf of and for the benefit of those who are unable to do so for themselves.
So I get to hear your qualifications every time I attend your events, which is quite often, but I'm always left in awe, and it never ceases to amaze me how fortunate we are to have the 2 of you with such complementary skills, which someone actually just said in the chat, I think it was David Ortiz, was like, what complementary skills? I agree. Running for a board in which we've never had any influence. So you're both first-time candidates. What led you to run for office?
Dana, more than ever before, representation matters. Inspired by my father, who was a member of IBM's first cohort of 17 Black engineers hired in Boulder over 50 years ago, I'm a math-loving engineer. And similar to my father, I've experienced great pushback to my presence in the science and engineering industry. But as my father role modeled for me, I've never let the actions of a few determine my path, destiny, or the desire to help others, because representation matters. While the opportunity to solve complex problems related to traffic, water policy, and communications infrastructure are the primary catalysts since joining the race, over the past few months, the actions of our BOCC and their silence in the face of such horrific circumstances of what is happening in our nation has solidified my need to run for office. Now more than ever before, representation matters. Douglas County has never had a Black female elected official. Representation matters. The state of Colorado has never had a Black female county commissioner. Again, representation matters. As a technologist, business executive, and lawyer with more than 25 years of corporate government and community leadership, there's a lot that I can contribute, and I'm eager to step up because I know that it will not get better unless we do something specifically. It just won't get better if we do business as usual. Because I know that if we have the right leadership, which we need to change that leadership and demonstrate leadership and representation matters. My commitment is to serve all Douglas County residents, to deliver innovative solutions to hard problems facing our county, to build a sense of community as we're all in this together, and to create a sustainable balance between our residents, our open space, and our wildlife, all while demonstrating representation matters.
Thank you, Lisa. I absolutely agree that representation matters, and I'm so proud to run with you. Thank you for running. So the moment that I decided to run is so clear in my memory. Last year, I sat in the Senate gallery and watched while our state legislature passed the Extreme Risk Protection Order common sense gun legislation. And then not long after that, I watched while my opponent voted to not uphold that legislation in Douglas County. And then came one of the scariest moments in my 20 years of motherhood. I was stuck in my car. For 40 chilling minutes, I listened to hard raindrops, helicopters thudding overhead, and siren after siren. When I was finally able to pick up my sweet-cheeked second grader, her teacher's face, which is normally so bubbly, was ashen as a stone. As I shepherded my second grader back to our car, the sky unleashed upon us a torrent of icy rain, soaking me to the bone. And that was the moment that I knew my community needs me. If not me, then who? If not when a school shooting happens less than a mile from my baby's school, then when? This race is an uphill battle, but I'm resilient.
Hearing such passion from the two of you always gives me goosebumps and makes me cry every time, because our community is so desperate for better leadership. Our broader political system does not have the space for candidates who are motivated solely by a desire to improve their community. We have an opportunity in Douglas County to model the way politics should be, of, by, and for the people. So tell us all, we're not alone as per usual, what are your top priorities for the office of County Commissioner and why?
So my priorities are increased support for public health, including common sense gun safety and mental health, high-paying jobs in the county, and promoting conservation. And these all three work together. So one way I want to improve mental health is to improve supports for families so they can access mental health resources before they're in crisis. And now that we're in the midst of a pandemic, the importance of elected leaders who believe in science and listen to public health experts is even more clear. So that's why health is such an important value for me. Second, jobs. So almost 2/3 of Douglas County residents go out of Douglas County for work, and an even larger percentage come into Douglas County for work. So we need to attract companies that will bring high-paying jobs to Douglas County. And Lisa says too, we need to enhance our communications infrastructure so people like my husband and I, who own a software consultancy and work from home, are actually able to connect to the internet. Believe me, when you work from home, You really need a high-speed internet connection. And so many of my neighbors are in the same boat. The other thing is housing. We need housing people can afford. We need teachers and firefighters to be able to live where they work. Right now, our teachers are the largest group going to our housing authority, and that's wrong for so many reasons. So lastly, conservation. Our family chose to make Douglas County home because the quality of life here is second to none, and we want to keep it that way for future generations. I want to preserve and protect our open spaces and ensure clean water and sustainable water sources. So these priorities are all interconnected because having a good job, not spending time in traffic because you're able to work from home, gives us more time to play and enjoy our beautiful outdoors. And clean air and water all contribute to good mental and physical health. So the good health also is critical to a thriving economy. So, and the ability to enjoy our beautiful Colorado way of life. Lisa?
Thanks, Darien. Again, we are simpatico in the alignment of our priorities. My priorities are focused on 3 strategic pillars as well: innovation, community, and sustainability. Under innovation, I'm really focused on economic recovery, just as you had mentioned, and focusing on creating more high-paying jobs in the county. We also need to create a much stronger high-capacity communications infrastructure. Given the careful opening of the county, we need to ensure that we have a network that allows our residents to have the access that they need to be effective when they're working from home. Also associated with innovation is this notion of traffic strategic planning and management. For so long, we have invested in traffic and transportation and saw little results from it. I believe we can do better. Under community, one of the most critical voices that are often overlooked in our county and also across the state actually is that of our youth. I want to create a youth commission that would allow us to invite the youth to have a seat at the table so that they would be able to weigh in on issues that directly affect them. I'd also like for us to revisit, and now that we know that we can have effective meetings virtually, have a lot of more town halls that allow people to attend those town halls from their homes, but also to have some district-specific forums. We need to hear from our constituents and know what they find important. And finally, under sustainability, Douglas County is one of the most beautiful counties in our nation. And my strategy is to work with experts in development, water, and environmental policy to ensure that we create and implement a strategy for sustainable balance between our residents, our open spaces, and wildlife.
Thank you both. So despite the fact that so many people in this community share our values, we don't have any elected Democrats in local positions in Douglas County, nor have we ever, is my impression. How do we help the two of you win this election?
I'm glad you asked, Dina. For the first time in the history of our county, we can actually see math that works in our favor. We have to ensure that Dems come out in strong numbers to vote this year. So if you've never voted or if you've taken a hiatus from voting during the past several elections, now is the time to show up. We need you more than ever. It is important to note that our county issues are not really partisan. You heard my priorities. You heard Darien's priorities. Those are priorities that support all of our residents and support Douglas County as Douglas County that works for everyone, not just a few. We have to target the unaffiliated voters and even Republican voters who understand what's at stake in this election. During a morning walk with my husband, we ran into a neighbor, and apropos to nothing, he just mentioned that he was just disappointed with our state politics and that he didn't understand when or why did it become so hostile between party members. He reminded me that there used to be a time when we could agree to disagree and still be friends. I don't know when all that changed, but I do know that we have to figure out a way to operate between those opposing parties, you know, and that we have to figure out how to do it much better. Throughout my life, I've had to code switch and operate between opposing parties often, whether it was between my two older brothers, technology and marketing, corporate IT and business units, Chinese and Americans, and I lived in China, or in some cases, even Black and whites. I know how to bring people together to get a mutually agreeable result. The bottom line, we have to be more strategic, work smarter and harder than our opponents. Darien?
Thanks, Lisa. So I totally agree. The path to victory is absolutely through unaffiliated voters, turnout, and encouraging people to vote all the way down the ballot. So I filed to run a year ago, June, and I've been watching the voter registrations over that time. And what I've seen is that since 2016, the voter registrations for Republicans have been going down, and that really accelerated in the last year. So I've worked across party lines to flip our school board. I have friends of all political parties and volunteers that I've worked with. And what I hear from everyone is people are tired of divisiveness. So the folks leading the Republican Party and all voters are tired of divisiveness. People are desperate for leaders who will listen both to citizens and to subject matter experts like scientists. So thank you so much for Indivisible Roxborough Resistance for this amazing event that will help us reach voters in Douglas County. That's what the money is going toward, is reaching voters. So anything you can do, if our message resonates with you, please share it, share on social media, follow Lisa's and my pages, and please tell your friends and neighbors about our campaigns. That's what it's all about. Thank you so much, everyone.
Hi there, this is Stan from Indivisible Rocks Resistance. Here is an easy-to-give slide so you can help support Darien Wilson's campaign to serve on the Douglas County Commission. Just point your smartphone camera at this screen and your phone will magically take you to our campaign website, where hopefully you can chip in a few bucks. Even if you can't contribute funds right now, please sign up to volunteer. It takes all of us to create hope and change.
So fortunate to have our next special guest here today. And the topic she's going to talk about could not be more timely: protecting the integrity of our elections. Please welcome Colorado's Secretary of State, Jena Griswold.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. I hope you all are having a good weekend. Wow, those ladies are impressive. Lisa and Darien, you guys just did a great job. And I will tell you, I was also a first-time candidate in a seat that hadn't been won for quite some time. So I believe in you guys and keep on going forward. I also just want to thank the Douglas Dems and Indivisible Rock Resistance for everything that you did to help us get elected in 2018, and then everything you're doing for the candidates now. It's truly impressive. But before I talk about our work in the Secretary of State's office, I do think it's very important to just take a minute to recognize the times we're in. And those times, unfortunately, are sad and they're hard. On top of COVID and folks struggling either directly from the coronavirus or from the economic implications, we have seen 3 murders by police since the end of February. Ahmed Arbery was murdered when he was taking a jog. Breonna Taylor, who was an EMT worker in Louisville, The police rushed into her house, mistaking it for another, and she was murdered when sleeping. And then most recently, George Floyd. And I do think that, I hope, I guess, that we are at a turning point, that Americans are sick of how African Americans are being treated and sick of the police brutality. And I do want to commend everybody who's been protesting. Protest is as American as liberty and justice. And we just have to remember that all that energy, that protesting, it's supposed to show folks that Americans disagree with how things are working. And I know a lot of you probably disagree also with the heinous crimes and violence that we see on the African American community by the government. That's what police are, they're the government. So I just want to commend the protests. I also just want to remind folks that, and David, you're right, Arbery was murdered by a former policeman, not a current cop. So thank you for correcting me on that. But it's one thing to protest and we have to keep that going, but we also have to have our voices heard at the ballot box. And voting during a pandemic turns out to be very hard for a lot of states. But I think one thing that we should be proud of in Colorado is how accessible our elections are. The fact that we have online voter registration, in-person early voting, same-day voter registration is light years ahead of a lot of other states. In the small fact that every voter gets mailed a mail ballot is what really allows us to be able to have faith and confidence that our elections are going to continue to be accessible even during the pandemic. So ballots for the state primary are actually going out starting Monday and all next week. And then early in-person voting will start on the 22nd. But we want to encourage Coloradans, and we always do, but especially now, to vote their mail ballot. That's how we social distance and have access during a pandemic. And one of the things I've been working on is making sure to try to expand national mail ballot to other states, because I believe that all Americans should have the same type of democratic access that we do here in Colorado. And we've seen a lot of pushback. We've seen President Trump literally say that he opposes mail ballot because he believes that it will cause Republicans to lose their seats. And not only is it reprehensible to make political calculations with people's lives, it's also untrue. So we've been really pushing national mail ballot with success. In March, we had 35 states that had absentee ballots, which are just mail ballots. That's up to 45. And I've been really pushing back against the attacks on our election system because I just fundamentally believe that no American should have to risk their health to cast their vote. So we've been working with states across the country. And we should be just really proud of that and all the progress. So make sure to make your voice heard. We have a lot of great candidates. I know Indivisible and the party are working hard, and ballots are about to go out next week. And I'm just so honored to work as your Secretary of State, to serve in this position, to make sure that our voting rights are protected and that we constantly fight for what is right and just and push back against everything else. So thank you.
Hi, this is Sue with Indivisible Rocks Resistance. Jena Griswold has graciously agreed to auction off some of her time for a virtual chat with you, where you and whomever you share your webcam with at home can have Java with Jena and ask questions or just discuss goings-on. Jena is offering this virtual chat to benefit Lisa Neal-Graves' campaign for Douglas County Commissioner. Here's your easy-to-bid slide for Java with Jena. Just point your smartphone camera at this screen so you can place your bid. But hurry, the auction closes at the end of our event, so you want to place your bid now.
I could not be more delighted than to introduce our next special guest. Phil Weiser lives by two mottos. First, his grandmother's approach to life: stay grateful, stay positive, and always believe the best in people. And second, his motto for service, which we see play out every day when he does his job as Attorney General for Colorado. We all need to use our voice in the fight for equal justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, Colorado Attorney General, my friend, Phil Weiser.
Sandy, hopefully we're ready for video. It's not, there we go.
There he is. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Sandy. You're amazing. Can I start just by saying we need democracy and politics to be more fun. And there's no one I know who better captures that spirit than you, because we have to be engaged. We have to get young people engaged. We have to vote and organize like our rights depend on it. And right now we're in a moment that our democracy may not have seen, a moment like 1968, a moment that we're going to look back on and say our trajectory as a nation was altered by people like Sandy, like Dana, and like Darien and Lisa, we just heard from. In this moment, we've got three sets of crises. A public health crisis like we haven't seen in 100 years. More people out of work than since the Great Depression. And a justice crisis, where people are finally rising up, demanding that we do something about racial justice and inequality. In this moment, I think of Abraham Lincoln, who faced one of the great crises our nation has ever seen. And his motto was with malice towards none, with charity towards all. Unfortunately, we now have a president who sees the world through the opposite lens, a lens of divisiveness, a lens that the rule of law does not matter, as Jason Crow was talking about. And this week we saw General Mattis call that out. Unfortunately, our president has plenty of enablers here in Colorado. Our Senator Cory Gardner, who has not stood up against lawless conduct, like the effort to invalidate the Affordable Care Act, or to build a wall without having Congress use its power of the purse. I'm fighting both those issues, fighting for our Constitution, just like I will if our president tries to send in military troops to Colorado in the face of peaceful protests. We got to get rid of enablers here. We've got to bring people together to solve problems, and that includes in Douglas County. We need Lisa and Darien on that commission. What I want to note is, in this moment, we need empathy. We need innovation. We need resilience and a commitment to justice. And boy, Lisa and Darien embody those qualities to meet the challenges of this moment. What Abraham Lincoln also said about our democracy is that we need a government, say with me at home here, guys, of the people, by the people, and for the people. We don't need political games. People are sick and tired and fed up of those games. Unfortunately, in the Douglas County Commission, those games are well in evidence. Whether it's this pandemic where there's making trouble about Tri-County Health acting to protect lives based on science, whether it's the extreme risk protection order that Darien mentioned and worked so hard about, we're not seeing a commission take people's lives seriously. We're seeing them playing political games, but not in this moment. We need candidates like these two remarkable women who both led a food drive. You saw the pictures of that as part of their campaign, who give me hope, who give us a reason to believe. Douglas County hasn't elected Democrats of late to the county commission, but this year that changes. Join with me and others. We have an incredible opportunity locally, nationally, across our nation. This year is different, and we are a part of that difference. So I thank you for engaging in our democracy, doing all you can, because as it says in Scripture, you alone don't have the obligation to repair the world, but no one is free to desist from doing their part. So thank you for doing your part.
We want to thank you, Phil. I don't think we've ever been better rewarded than for the work we did electing you in 2018, and also Secretary Griswold. Thank you for your fine service. And now we're going to talk about another fine thing you did. You donated an auction item. Watch this, everyone.
Hey everyone, this is Howard Cho, first Vice Chair of the Colorado Democratic Party. AG Phil Weiser has graciously agreed to auction off some of his time for you to chat with him, ask him questions, or pick his brain. We're calling it Wine with Weiser, And whatever the highest bid is, it all goes to benefit Lisa Neal-Graves' campaign for Douglas County Commissioner. Here's an easy to bid slide for this auction item. Just pick up your smartphone, point the camera at the screen, and it will magically take you to the auction item where you can place your bid. Hurry! The auction closes at the end of our event, so you want to get registered and place your bid now.
And now, this.
Monday's hustle gets me uptight. Tuesday's pay, oh, it keeps me up all night. I stare at the sky, see your twinkling eyes. I hear the moon up above calling me to your city of love. Your city of love. Your city of love. Your city of love. Summer's heat, feeling beaten low down. Trying to lift myself off the ground. Daydreaming of your charms falling into your arms like a snow white dove flying into your city of love. Your city of love. Your city of love. Your city of love. I fought through the flames. I'm high up above. Oh, and I found my way into your city of love. I wanna say it now. I wanna say it loud. There is one thing we need, and that's L-O-V. Oh, I want you to know. Come on and show. It's time to give what we need. Give your L-O-V. I fought through the flames like high up above. Oh, and I found my way into a city of love. You called out my name. I am here, my love. Hold me to life into your city of love. On your city of love. Your city of love. Your city of love. Your city of
Oh man, those guys rock. Hey, we're going to have more of Kerry and Paul live coming up, so hang in there. So how's everyone doing? We hope you're finding ways to cope with everything that's going on in the world. We hope all these fine candidates and the good work folks are doing are giving you some hope. This is a good time to refresh your libations, stand up and stretch, let the dog out. We have a couple minutes before our next special guest.
I bet I'm not the only one who needs to stretch. Now, let's be honest. How many of us are eating chocolate cake for breakfast?
Actually, I had some chocolate cake last night that somebody made me for my birthday. Was that you, Jan? Or how many of you are enjoying way more happy hours, even when it's not happy hour?
Or I think I may have seen everything on Netflix twice.
Oh, yeah. I don't mean to offend anyone, but I don't see bras making a comeback after this. I just don't.
No, but pajamas are here to stay.
Yeah, pajamas are definitely here to stay, whether or not they match.
And speaking of matching, don't forget that there are matching funds for your donations to our local candidates.
And the food bank. So yeah, we've announced challenge matches for Ike McCorkle, David Ortiz, Joe Neguse, Lisa Neal-Graves, and Darien Wilson's campaigns. So come on and double your money because the challenge matches will only last until the end of this program. We got some auction items too.
Get those auction items. If the auction will close at the end of the show, so put your bids in now. In fact, we have some news on the auction. We have a bid for $125 for Wine with Weiser.
Ooh, Wine with Weiser. I want that.
For Java with Jena. So
I want that too.
Get some more, anyway.
Good. So may the best bidder win. And while we've joked about, having high class problems like too many happy hours and dessert for breakfast, we also know that there are many of you who don't know whether you have enough to feed your family this month or pay your rent.
And that's why when we also want to remind you of those who can to give to the Food Bank of the Rockies, excuse me. And if you can't give money, perhaps you could volunteer there. And by the way, I have some really good news there. We have so far $1,679 for the food bank.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. We've been really scrambling to raise money for them and you guys have kicked in big time. Thank you. If you are some of the lucky ones who are comfortable and not worried about the next meal, please share some of that comfort and whatever you can give to those who are not comfortable.
And let's all roll up our sleeves and help these fine candidates get elected. Your dollars or your time donated can make a difference in helping them get their message out to the public so they can earn votes. Let's all support their courage to run and their passion to serve, because that's what we need from our representatives in government now.
Jan, that was pretty good what you just said.
Thanks. Hey, back when you were talking about giving up some of our comfort, does that mean I have to give up my pajamas? Because
no, I think it's all right for you to hang on to your pajamas. I just meant that we can all do something to create hope and change. So now here's a pre-recorded message from former Denver mayor, former governor of Colorado, and candidate for the U.S. Senate, John Hickenlooper.
Thank you to Indivisible Rocks Resistance for hosting this great event. I'm John Hickenlooper. Obviously, I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and I could not be more excited at the thought that I could share a ballot with Ilana Spiegel. She's running for CU Regent and CD6, and we have to win this race to flip the Board of Regents to Democrats. And we all need to work together to make sure Ilana wins this fall. For 25 years, Ilana has fought for our students as a teacher, a grassroots advocate, and as a parent. Ilana knows all too well the crushing burden of student loans and the rising cost of tuition. Ilana believes every student should have an opportunity to obtain a world-class education no matter their zip code. She also knows that we need to take on the high cost of getting a college degree. She'll fight to save students and their parents, to save them the money by going through the budget and making sure that we're spending money where it counts. So I hope you'll join me, not only in the fight to take the U.S. Senate back from Mitch McConnell, but to send Ilana to the Board of Regents and stick up for our students.
Hello, this is Debbie from Indivisible Rocks Resistance. Here's another one of those crazy, easy-to-give slides. If you'd like to support Governor Hickenlooper's campaign for the U.S. Senate from Colorado, this makes it a snap. Just point your smartphone camera at this screen and your phone will magically take you to his campaign website, where you can chip in a few bucks. And if you can't contribute funds right now, you can sign up to volunteer. It takes all of us to create hope and change.
Governor Hickenlooper has noted why we all should support Ilana Spiegel. To that end, Indivisible Rocks Resistance is proud to announce a challenge match for Ilana's campaign for CU Regent. We'll match the first $375 in donations made between now and the end of this event. Please welcome our candidate for CU Regent, Ilana Spiegel.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, everyone at Indivisible Rocks Resistance. Thank you so much for the over 100 people on the call, and thank you to Governor Hickenlooper for the heartfelt introduction. As the governor said, my name's Ilana Spiegel, and I'm running for the University of Colorado Board of Regents in the 6th Congressional District. Yes, the same 6th Congressional District that's represented in Congress by Jason Crow. And I'm thrilled and honored to have the support of Congressman Crow and former Regent and Congressman Neguse, who we heard from earlier, and Phil Weiser, and over 50 education, business, community leaders from across Colorado in this race for CU Regent. These are people who know me. They know my story, they know my work in education, and they know my work in the community. And thank you all for the opportunity to share that with you. So I'll start with my story, and that starts at the beginning, being born into a family like Phil Weiser of depression and Holocaust survivors. My parents instilled in me the values of hard work and fairness and being a good neighbor. I met my soulmate, my life's partner, Jeff, 26 years ago on a blind date at an outdoor skating rink, and only 8 months later we were engaged and married shortly thereafter. Together, Jeff and I parent 4 absolutely amazing children, ages 13 to 21. 3 of our kids have really struggled in school and learning, and that spurred my commitment to an inclusive and innovative education for all students. But I've truly devoted my life's work to serving students, teachers, and families. You see, I was called to be a teacher, so I know firsthand the power of an education to transform an individual life or an entire community. Some of you, many of you likely, are wondering though, what are the Regents? What do they do? Why is this so important? And the truth is, the Regents impact all of us and play a critical role in the growth and future of our state by setting budget priorities, hiring the University of Colorado president, and guiding tuition prices. The University of Colorado is the 3rd largest employer in the state, produces over $12 billion of economic impact, 7.5 of that just from the Anschutz campus right here in the 6th Congressional District. So our university says a lot about who we are and what we value as Coloradans. Unfortunately, our current representation in CD6 has put partisan political ideology ahead of what's best for our state, our students, and the community the University of Colorado serves. On a 5-4 party line vote, the current board majority voted to hire a hardline, ultra-conservative, anti-LGBTQ, climate change denying new president for the university. Now, they did this without a well thought out process and without interviewing a handful of qualified candidates. What was most important to them was hiring someone who would promote their controversial agenda. But it's this seat right here in CD6 that we can flip to gain a Democratic majority on the CU Board of Regents for the first time in over 4 years, so that we can hire the highest quality faculty and staff that truly reflect our values. It's also worth noting that under the current board majority, there's been a complete lack of healthcare costs, which are the #1 contributing factor in rising costs in the CU system. So as your regent, I'll fight to bring transparency, and I will go line item by line item to see how we can lower costs for hardworking students and families.
60 seconds.
I envision a University of Colorado that's strengthened by our diversity, where academic scholars can attain the same scholarship opportunities as those in athletic programs, and the university isn't out of reach for students from across Colorado or the country because of the zip code they grew up in. Together, we will make the University of Colorado a flagship university, an example not just for Colorado, but the entire country of how a university can be run and what a truly diverse student body looks like. But it's going to take all of us. Again, my name's Ilana Spiegel, running for University of Colorado Board of Regents in the 6th Congressional District. And I thank you all for being here to create hope and change with us. Thank you. Thanks, Sandy.
Hi there, I'm Mike from Indivisible Rocks Resistance. Here's another easy to give slide that you could use to support Lana Spiegel's campaign for CU Regent. Just point your smartphone camera at this screen and your phone will magically take you to a campaign website where hopefully you can chip in a few bucks. Even if you can't contribute funds right now, please sign up to volunteer. It takes all of us to create hope and change.
I am so happy to introduce our next special guest. He won 4 terms in the Colorado House of Representatives, including 2 of them as Speaker of the House, and led Democrats to their first majority in 30 years. As President and CEO of Mental Health Colorado, he led the fight for the prevention and treatment of mental health and substance use disorders. He's working hard to win your vote in his campaign to be the next U.S. Senator from Colorado. Indivisible Rocks Resistance is proud to announce a challenge match for his campaign. We'll match the first $515 in donations made tonight during the event. Here's Andrew Romanoff.
I want to say thanks to Sandy, to John, to Jan, to Michael, to Tracy, to Indivisible Rocks Resistance, to the fabulous musical entertainment that you all have been providing. What a nimble operation you're running. I don't know how you figured out how to do a virtual party like this, but it is fantastic. I was honored to hear Ilana as well make her case. I would love to be able to raise money for non-federal races. I'm told I can't do that, so instead I'll encourage you to vote for all the terrific Douglas County Democratic candidates and other folks you've been hearing from tonight. My name's Andrew Romanoff, as you know. I'm running for the United States Senate. I really appreciate Sandy's kind introduction and the challenge match you're offering. I hope you'll take advantage on our behalf of signing up and chipping in. There's some links for that purpose, and you can also go to andrewromanoff.com to learn more. This is a moment of such profound importance, such urgency to America, that I think it's going to be one of those times in our history when we look back a generation from now and ask, what was the point at which we began to tackle the climate crisis, to reduce income inequality, to eliminate the threat of gun violence and police brutality, to provide health care for all, to build an economy that works for everyone, to reform our broken immigration system, to change the way that we finance campaigns. That's a big agenda, but it strikes me now that more and more Americans, led by folks like Indivisible Rocks and all the other terrific Douglas County Democrats, more and more Americans are recognizing that business as usual wasn't working. A lot of the problems I just listed, in fact, all of them preceded the pandemic, but they have been exacerbated by it. They have been exposed by it. And now we're at an inflection point. The way to get this done is not simply to shift the Senate from red to blue, although that's important. It's instead, I think, to replace a group of leaders who are mired in paralysis with ones who are committed to bold, progressive change. That's the heart of our campaign. Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, a progressive platform that inspires Americans. It's not enough just to point out all the places where Cory Gardner and Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump have gone wrong. That would take too long. Instead, I think we ought to start to paint a picture of what life in America might look like if you put a different group of people in charge. I know my time is limited, so I want to focus on one of the issues that matters most to my family, to me, and I'm sure, as you've heard today, to so many of yours, the epidemic of gun violence. I'm wearing a bracelet today, wearing orange this weekend, in honor and in memory of my late cousin, Melissa, who was like a kid sister to me. She died by suicide on January 1st, 2015. I would do anything in the world to go back in time and prevent that from happening. My family and I were there when she walked into our backyard and put a gun to her head. Someone told me when you die by suicide, you don't end your pain, you transfer it. And I can tell you, for my family, and if yours has been devastated by gun violence, you'll understand exactly what I mean. About 3 months after Melissa died, I became the president of a group, as Sandy mentioned, called Mental Health Colorado. It's an organization that fights for families who have been hit by suicide, mental illness, or substance use disorders. And I think about this every day. I worked hard in the state legislature to provide mental health care for folks who need it, substance use treatment, which we continue to shortchange, to reduce the stigma that still surrounds these disorders, and to make it harder for those folks who pose a significant danger to themselves or others from getting guns. I earned an F from the NRA as a state legislator, I'm proud to say, and I will stand up to the gun lobby without apology when it comes to reducing the bloodshed that still soaks our country. I know the NRA will tell you, you can't stop every shooting. And you know what? They're right. You can't. But for my family and me, on that horrible day in January of 2015, if there had been only 99 gun deaths in America instead of 100, our lives would be different forever. Now, on this issue, as on so many others, the Republican I aim to replace, Cory Gardner, is a lost cause. He has, as you know, benefited from $4 million in spending from the NRA. He's the fifth biggest beneficiary of gun lobby money in the entire United States Congress. And it was a good investment on their part, I suppose, because the NRA got what we're paying for. They got a fellow who has blocked universal background checks, opposed a ban on high-capacity magazines or military-style assault weapons. For the life of me, I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you claim to represent a state like ours, do the bidding of the NRA, and turn a blind eye to the constituents in your own state who are being slaughtered. Maybe you just take the mirrors out of your home so you don't have to look at yourself in the morning. There are 1,000 reasons to replace Cory Gardner, but on this issue, this life and death issue, surely having a champion for gun violence prevention has to be one of them. Cory and I differ on the climate crisis, on healthcare, on immigration reform, on all the other key priorities that we're bringing to this race. There are plain differences in the primary as well. I wish that John were here. I wish he hadn't decided to skip 20 candidate forums so far. I'm glad we'll have a chance to debate for the first time on Tuesday night, and I hope you'll tune in. Tuesday and Wednesday night, actually. We'll put the details on our website at andrewromanoff.com. I'm hoping that you will put in this position in the United States Senate somebody who brings the courage of our convictions to this fight. The good news, of course, is that even a generic Democrat beats Cory Gardner by double digits. But we need more than a generic Democrat. We need somebody who brings both a set of legislative skills and a sense of urgency. Someone who will act, in other words, as if our lives depend on it, because they do. I'm asking for your vote tonight. I'm asking you to chip into our campaign. I'm asking you to go to andrewromanoff.com and get involved, to contact other voters. We've been texting and phoning and Zooming voters all over the state for the last several months. We've been holding house parties when that was possible. And I want to thank Sandy for organizing a forum for us as well. We've been at this for 16 months. The election is upon us. Ballots go out tomorrow. June 30th is the primary. 2.4 million Democrats and unaffiliated voters will have a chance to pick the nominee. And I'm intent on reaching just about all of them. If I have 1 minute left, I'll tell you how I've approached this task, because I think the kind of campaign you run says something about the kind of elected official you'll be. Our campaign is the most transparent, the most accountable, the most responsive. I'm proud to have earned endorsements from 375 elected officials all across the state: county commissioners, mayors, school board members, city council members, legislators I've served with. We've got endorsements not just from Democrats, but even from some independent and Republican leaders as well, who want to help us build the coalition it takes, not only to defeat Cory Gardner, but to represent Colorado. But the most poignant experience in this campaign has come from the conversations I've been having every day and every night with voters. I personally texted 650,000 in the last 10 weeks. And I'll share with you just one, a story from a woman I've been talking to who finds herself homeless. She told me at one point in a conversation we were having late at night, going back and forth by text, as she was worried about where she's going to sleep for the evening, where she's going to get something to drink, or what's going to happen, God forbid, if she gets sick. She told me at one point, she said, "It feels like I don't exist. It feels like I don't exist." I said to her, "Look, I can't see you, but you exist. You matter." And I think above all else, that's the principle we ought to restore. to value people, not because of their net worth, but just because of their basic worth as human beings. I think if every Senate candidate, every senator in America actually took the time to listen to their constituents, not just to troll for cash among the corporate elite on the East Coast or the West Coast, but actually to listen to the people they aim to represent, we would dramatically transform the decisions that get made in Washington, D.C. That's my commitment to you, to act every single day in this Senate seat as if it belongs to you. Because at the end of the day, it should. The special interests have enough politicians on their payroll. We need a senator for the rest of us. I'd be honored to earn your support. And I appreciate your time. And to all of you who organized this fantastic event, thank you. I hope you're staying well. And I look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Hi everyone, this is Carol from Indivisible Rocks Resistance. Here is an easy to give slide so you can help support Andrew Romanoff's campaign for the U.S. Senate from Colorado. Just point your smartphone camera at this screen and your phone will magically take you to his campaign website where you can chip in a few bucks. If you can't contribute funds right now, you can still sign up to volunteer. It takes all of us to create hope and change.
Just wondering then if we can get a little Kerry and Paul up in the house. Kerry, would you guys want to do something for us?
Yeah, let's do it. Now, honey, I'm taking all my money and I'm laying it right down here on the table. I'm going all in and I'm betting it all on you. And I ain't gonna lose. I'm going for broke. I'm betting all on you. You're the gamble of a lifetime.
I found him an attendee.
Oh, and I ain't gonna lose. Roll the dice, go with that. Chase the rabbit around the track. Yeah, I'm going for broke. I'm betting 'cause I know you and me is how it goes. Ain't no guessing in the throw. A toe across the floor. There ain't no fingers crossed on who you want, 'cause I'm the boss. Yeah, let's go for broke. I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. Come on now. I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, yeah, 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 yeah. Let's roll it down, let's take a shot. The slidery is all we got. Yeah, let's go for broke. You probably won't. So daddy, take that chance. You're gonna like what you see. 'Cause deep in my heart, I know we're destiny. Let's slow it down, let's take starter is all we got. Yeah, let's go for broke. Yeah, come on now. I said, yeah. I said, yeah. I said, yeah. Let's go with that. Let's take a shot. The starter is all we got. It ain't no luck, no fingers crossed. I know you will, 'cause I'm the boss. Yeah, let's go for
Woo! Folks, we're so glad that we found Andrew. Wasn't that talk great?
Yeah, that was
We
great.
have good news and we have bad news.
And the good news is we have plenty of money to support the food bank and also our candidates.
Yep. But the bad news is that some of that money is still in your pockets.
So if any of you still have money in your pocket that you can spare, we have some challenge matches coming up for you that will double your donation. In fact, I just got word that there was one for Andrew that is increased to $565 match.
Awesome. That's great.
And don't forget to bid on our auction items too. I also have a food bank update for it. We've so far done $2,756 for the food bank. That's pretty impressive.
That's amazing. That's so important right now. I mean, that just touches my heart. How about you, Jan?
I think it's so wonderful. I'm so proud that we have all these generous neighbors, and it's so wonderful.
Hey, you know what? We ought to celebrate. So I think it's time for the house party. We're so lucky to have 3 great candidates.
Yes, we are. And they're running for seats in the Colorado House representing Douglas County. And no matter what district you live in, it's important to support all these candidates because we need a good functioning Colorado House to get things done.
That's exactly right. The more good representatives we can get in the Colorado House, the more likely it is that good legislation will actually be brought to the floor and then passed. So we need all of these House candidates to win. And to show our support for their courage to run and passion to serve, Indivisible Rocks Resistance is offering a challenge match for each of these fine candidates.
Yes, and so let's get the house party started. And
I agree. Let's start with Katie Barrett. Katie's running to represent Colorado HD 45, covering Castle Rock, Castle Pines, Pinery, and Pradera. She's a gun owner, familiar with a variety of firearms, that's been coming up all night, and supports common sense gun reform like background checks, a 10-day waiting period, and proper gun storage. Katie supports clean energy, and she believes growth should incorporate solar and wind energy. As an educator, she promotes small class sizes, mental health access, and a living wage for teachers. Indivisible Rocks Resistance is proud to announce a challenge match. We'll match the first $300 in donations to Katie's campaign. We'll match your total donations up to that amount to help elect her to Colorado's House of Representatives. So pitch in and help Katie win.
Afternoon. It's time to send Patrick Neville packing, and I'm the woman to do just that. The Castle Rock area has not had true representation. And what does it mean to be truly represented in your community? Representation is the action of one person standing in for others to ensure that the community as a whole has a voice. House District 45 has not had true representation for many years. I'm Katie Barrett, and I want to remedy that and be a voice for all. Douglas County is becoming increasingly diverse. Diverse voices include a variety in age, race, family situation, school configuration, spoken language, and gender spectrum. I find this to be especially hurtful because Patrick Neville, on his official website, states that marriage is between a man and a woman as God intended. I think of the many gender fluid students I have known in class and of the same-sex couples I know who are raising beautiful families. Excluding such groups through words and actions is repugnant. There are too many voices that are not being represented, and I'm running to fix that. Of particular concern to me are the voices of people distressed by gun violence plaguing our country. They are being ignored at best, and at worst being made fun of by people like Patrick and the Rocky Mountain gun owners. When the Rocky Mountain gun owners, along with Patrick Neville, announced the raffle of a $10,000 sniper rifle shortly after the Parkland shooting, I knew I had to act. This raffle was an affront to common sense and decency. Further, this raffle was intended to fund the recall of our beloved Tom Sullivan. I was really mad. This was the moment my intent to run crystallized. I knew I had the skills and firearm experience to provide a more balanced and reasoned approach to the Second Amendment. Patrick Neville doesn't acknowledge that most Americans are literally terrified about the impact of gun violence on our families and loved ones. Gun violence includes accidental shootings, school shootings, and suicides of veterans and young people. And it's the young people's death that particularly breaks my heart. I'm uniquely qualified to truly represent our community. I'm Katie Barrett. I know how to listen and how to gather diverse voices so that I can be a true representative for House District 45. I know it's not going to be easy, but I've never shied away from a challenge. I promise to make decisions that reflect my values, my community, my experiences, and my heart to become a voice for all. Thank you, Indivisible Rocks.
Hi everyone, this is Ghazala from the Castle Rock District. Here's another one of those easy to give slides with the QR codes. I hope you'll use it to help Katie Barrett win a seat to represent House District 45 in the Colorado House of Representatives. You know what to do. Just point your smartphone camera at the screen and that will take you to her campaign website, where we hope you will donate to help Katie win. Even if you can't chip in cash right now, she could use your help, so volunteer. It takes all of us to create hope and change.
Nicely done, Katie. Now for our next one, Jennifer Mitkowski. She's running for HD 43, representing Highlands Ranch. A physician assistant, she believes that healthcare is a right. She sees a need for legislation requiring transparency regarding health costs and capping drug prices to ensure affordable life-saving drugs. Jennifer wants to increase funding for our public schools and believes teachers should be paid more. She also considers local elected officials to be extremely important because they have the greatest impact on our everyday lives. Indivisible Rocks Resistance is proud to announce a challenge match for donations to Jennifer's campaign of up to $300. We'll match your total donations up to that amount to help elect her to Colorado's House of Representatives. So pitch in to help Jennifer win.
My name is Jennifer Mitkowski, and I am running for House District 43 in Highlands Ranch. So, as I was saying before, one of the things you get asked a lot is why run for office? There are a lot of things that are involved into running for office, but I decided to run to really be a voice for this community. So as I was saying before, I work in healthcare. I'm a physician assistant. I've been in family practice for over 10 years. And what I've been really seeing lately is the number of patients who have lost their jobs due to COVID. These patients are now faced with the unique difficulty of trying to figure out how they pay for their medications that they need to continue to be on, how they can continue to come to the doctor and make the appointments that they need to make. As a healthcare provider that went into this to help people, it's very difficult for me to understand that and to watch patients struggle like this. In addition to physical health, we have to figure out how to make mental health more accessible and more affordable. We have a real mental health crisis in this country and in this state. Just this year, a piece of legislation was introduced in the House that would make insurance companies cover a once yearly 60-minute mental health screening for every insured patient. This was a hugely supported bipartisan piece of legislation that your current state representative and my opponent voted against, which once again represents how little he understands the values of the community that he lives in. In addition to being a physician assistant, I am a mom of 2 young girls, and so I am very passionate about our public schools. Colorado ranks among the bottom for the entire country in regards to teacher pay and into public school funding in general. We have to work to change this. At the state level, that starts with changing Tabor and starts with changing Gallagher. Our students and our teachers are facing difficulties that we never could have imagined. Just this past year, my 6-year-old started 1st grade. She came home from her first day very excited to tell me about her new teachers, her new friends, the people she met. But then she looked at me and she said, "But I didn't know where to go, Mom." And I said, "What do you mean? Did you get lost? You went to this school last year and it's a circle." And she said, "No, Mom, I didn't know where to go if there was a bad man." She went on to tell me how last year she was told to hide in her cubby. And last year her cubbies were in her classroom. And this year the cubbies were in the hallway. And she was afraid if she hid there that the bad man could find her and hurt her. As a mom, it's something that's truly heartbreaking to hear from your child. But as a candidate, it just reaffirmed that I needed to be doing what I'm doing. We need a representative who will fight to keep our common sense gun laws, who will fight to work on the common sense gun laws that need to be enacted still, and who will fight to increase our funding for our public schools so that we can pay our teachers a livable wage, we can have more counselors available to help those students that need help.
60 seconds.
We are in unprecedented times right now. I never imagined to be running a campaign during a pandemic and during a very important civil rights movement that's happening right now in our country. But it is becoming more and more apparent that we need a representative who will make decisions based off of science and based off of facts, and who will actually listen to the community and make heard the values that the community feels. My name's Jennifer Mitkowski, and I want to be your next state representative. I hope that you will join me in moving Highlands Ranch forward together. Thank you, and thank you to Indivisible Rocks Resistance for this amazing program and for sticking with us through technology glitches.
Hey everybody, this is Sean Zimbelman from the Douglas County Democrats. Here's an easy to give slide that you can use to support Jennifer Mitkowski in her campaign for representative for Colorado's State House in AD 43. Just pick up your smartphone, point the camera at the screen, that will take you to her campaign website where we hope you will chip in a few bucks. Even if you can't give funds right now, she could use your help, so volunteer. It takes all of us to create hope and change.
Kyra is running for Colorado House HD 44, representing Parker and Lone Tree. She's a mother of 3. She's married. She lives in Parker and works within the community as a business owner and community organizer. She has a degree in political science, worked in Washington, D.C. for educational nonprofits, and in technology and media for over 20 years. You won't believe it when you see her. She looks too young to have that kind of expertise and experience. While working for one of these nonprofits, she helped write a book about the conditions of school buildings, which eventually affected legislation. She is a volunteer extraordinaire, Habitat for Humanity, spellbinder storyteller, a school event coordinator, Bridge House for the Homeless, and Democratic Precinct Captain. Kyra supports fair wages, fiscal responsibility, equal rights, affordable health care, and efforts to reduce suicide. Indivisible Rocks Resistance is proud to announce a challenge match for donations to Kyra's campaign up to $300. We'll match your total donations up to that amount to help elect her to Colorado's House of Representatives. So pitch in to help Kyra win.
Thank you so much, Indivisible Rocks Resistance, for producing this amazing event. It certainly is an honor to be here with everyone today. Everyone has just been so stellar to listen to, and my platform is Common Sense for the Common Good. I'm running because I believe we can make a bright future together. This district has been a majority Republican, and now the number of independents plus Democrats far outnumber the number of Republicans. Yes, the tides have turned. The current incumbent, Kim Ransom, my opponent, just today at an event at the Denver Capitol, said she is, quote, ultra-conservative Republican and as conservative as they come. And she signed a letter to break with Tri-County Health during our pandemic and defied stay-at-home orders when sitting in a smoke shop in Parker. It's time for a change to represent who we are in House District 44. I'm Kyra Storojev, and I'm running as candidate for Colorado State House in the Parker Lone Tree area. We have a diverse community now in this district, including different races, religions, and income levels. We deserve better representation more than ever. And based on the event Black Lives Matter march that happened this past week in Parker, there were over 300 people attending. So I'm very hopeful that the tides are turning, and even that the youth, our future leaders, are rising up and speaking out, and we can realize that racism must be addressed and overcome. The tensions have been high with COVID, racial injustices, large state budget cuts, and personal lives being changed. We must persevere to be sure our voices are heard and move forward in a positive movement. I grew up in a middle-class family. We budgeted for everything. I lived in a small town in New York and have lived in Parker for over 6 years. My father ran for school board in our community, and my parents both started an organization called SOS, Save Our Shores, that stopped a local plant from spilling chemicals into the beach. They taught me so much. I have run my own consulting business, designed networks for school districts and Fortune 500s, and worked in the community in many volunteer positions. And I bring skills of creating programs, leading, and working together as a team. I have worked hard all my life to help make the world a better place, and knowing that each step, each action can change a life and can change our community. My husband and I have 3 amazing children, ages 12, 18, and 20, who I'm so proud of. My older son has a summer internship with NASA that now will be remote from home. My younger son will be attending CU Boulder School of Business and hopes to be there in person. And my daughter loves to dance and now has classes virtually. The world has changed. With 13% unemployment across the US, greater disparity of income levels, increase in cost of living, higher costs of healthcare, climate change, and environmental deregulations from the administration, am I concerned for the future? Yes, I am. Am I going to sit down and wait for change to happen? No. That's why I'm running for office, for now and for our future generations. Let's reduce subsidies to the fracking industry that is tied to asthma and methane gas releases, and increase our subsidies to alternative technologies where job opportunities are growing. We can work together to reduce teen suicides and mass shootings with better access to mental health care and the arts. We must strengthen universal background checks and have safe gun storage plans. Let's ensure that our teachers receive pay they can live on, prosper and raise them up, and ensure we have access to affordable housing and health care. It's time for racial and gender equality so that the treatment and pay is fair and equitable. And now more than ever, let's hold the people accountable for racial injustices. It takes a village to raise a village. Let's raise it strong, fair, and balanced. Next session will start in January. I plan to take that oath of office, serve our community for the betterment of the state, people, and our environment, and work thoughtfully and fiscally together. Our future, our planet depends on us to stand up and fight for a better tomorrow. My campaign can win with your help, and together we can make history by voting me as the first Democrat to win this seat ever. Let's make history together and turn this seat blue. Please join me to bring common sense for the common good. Thank you so much again for this event, and I appreciate your support and vote in November.
Hi everybody, this is Amy from Parker. Here is another one of our easy to give slides. You can use this to help elect Kyra Storojev to the Colorado State House of Representatives in HD 44. Just pick up your smartphone, point the camera at the screen, and it will magically take you to her campaign website, where we hope you will chip in a few bucks. And if you can't give funds right now, that's okay. You can sign up to volunteer. It takes all of us to create hope and change.
Again, Kerry and Paul from Kerry, Pastine, and the crime scene are going to play for us live. Okay, you two, let's do some leaning into your love.
Yeah, let's do that. I can walk on a tightrope with nothing under me. I can swerve down a midnight lane so dark I cannot see. I can play with fire, tell you a lie. I can curse the sky above, but there's nothing scares me like living into your love. I can place the bet with an empty hand and never blink an eye. I can drink you under the table until the well-rights fly. Send my last cent, never pay the rent, have nothing to speak of. But there's nothing scares me like getting into your love. When I jump that train, I'll grab you by the hand. When I tell the world that you're my loving man, when I sing my song, when I open up, it's gonna rain, gonna thunder, gonna be a flood. There's nothing like leaning into your love, leaning into your love. Oh, leaning into your love. Yeah, I'm leaning into your love. I'm leaning into your love. When I sing my song, when I open up, it's gonna rain, gonna thunder, gonna be a flood. There'll be nothing like leaning into your love. There'll be nothing like leaning into your love. Oh, there'll be nothing like leaning into your love.
Hi everyone, this is Claudia from Highlands Ranch. We want to say a big thank you to Kerry, Pastine, and the crime scene for providing today's entertainment. Weren't they awesome? To find out more about Kerry, Pastine, and the crime scene, point your smartphone camera at that crazy code or visit their website at crimesceneband.com.
And we're going to do some tallying up, but before we do, let me tell you that we have a nice surprise coming up right after this. Want me to tell you what it is, Jan?
I can't wait to hear what it is.
Well, I can't wait to hear how we're doing on fundraising. So let's report on what we know at this moment. We have some idea of how our guest donations plus the Rocks Resistance matching donations to the food bank of the Rockies came out.
Yes, we've raised $2,900 with the match today. That's pretty awesome. And the auction items have not moved any. We still have 125 each for Jena and Phil. So if people be interested in having a chat with Java with Jena or a little wine with Weiser, now's your chance to get on the auction site and give a bid.
Plus, I have a little incentive. If someone wants to just exceed those bids by a little bit, Phil Weiser and Jenna Griswold have decided that they will award a second slot of their time for an individual virtual meetup with the second highest bidder. So the highest bidder's donation will benefit Lisa Neal-Graves, plus the second highest bidder wins too. And that amount they bid will go to support Darien Wilson's campaign. So these two auction items will support both of our candidates for Douglas County Commissioner with the funds from the two highest bids. So hurry up and bid. Come on, let's get both of these gals some money from those auction items.
Yeah, that one's such an important race. It would be so wonderful if we could get both of them elected to the county commission. That would be fabulous. But we're ending on a pretty good note here with the food bank. And that's true.
That's true. So I believe in ending on a good note too. And here's the surprise I spoke about earlier. There's no gooder note than more music from Kerry, Pastine, and the crime scene. We're going to have the whole band up next. But before that,
before we let them play us out, we want to thank them for donating their wonderful talent to this event. And we also want to thank all of our other special guests and our candidates for appearing today. And we want to thank all of you for coming and for giving and for volunteering. Let's go forward to the election working together to create hope and change. It takes all of us to create hope and change.
And speaking of creating hope and change, before we roll the next tune from this crime scene band, Jan and I would like you to meet the gang that created hope and change.
Now, honey, I'm taking all my money, and I'm laying it right down here on the table. I'm going all in, and I'm betting it all on you, and I ain't gonna lose. I'm going for broke. I'm betting all on you. You're the gamble of a lifetime. Oh, and I ain't gonna lose. Let's roll the dice, throw it back, chase the rabbit around the track. Oh, let's go for broke. I'm betting 'cause I know you and me is how it goes. Ain't no guessing in the throws. A toe across the floor. It ain't no fingers crossed on you, 'cause I'm the boss. Yeah, let's go for broke. I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, yeah, 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 yeah. Let's slow it down, let's take a shot. You can't say no, I'm all you got. Yeah, let's go for broke. You tell me. Shut this lottery is all we got. Yeah.